Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. These art lessons are taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I hope you have fun, create imaginative works of art, and make sure you share them with someone because, after all, the visual arts are meant to be seen.
Hello, Cape artists, and welcome back to the Heart of a Viking. In our episode today, we are counting down to summer, and this is day 2. There are only 2 more school days left before summer break. Wow, we are really getting close now. So in our project for today, our subject is something that comes in a set of 2. So that word set always means that there are 2 of them. So I have a set of earrings on, but that's not the subject of today. My glasses have a set of 2 lenses, but that's not the subject of our project today. Today, our subject is something else that you can wear, flip-flops. They come in a set of 2. So today you're going to be creating a pair of flip-flops for your piece of artwork. We're also going to be using a lot of really cool textures. We're going to create some torn paper textures as well as using sand. I know, sand as a texture for our flip-flops to be walking on. So join me as we create our countdown to summer day 2, our set of flip-flops in the sand.
It's estimated that flip-flops were first used around 4000 BC according to ancient Egyptian murals. However, the first documented account of flip-flops being worn is from 15,000 years ago during the Stone Age. While we have flip-flops that are made from leather, suede, foam, rubber, plastic, hemp, and more, did you know that they are made with other unconventional materials in other places of the world, like palm leaves and rawhide and rice straw, the yucca plant and wood, and even twine? Flip-flops first became popular in America when soldiers came home from World War II with Japanese zori. They became increasingly popular by the 1950s and were being mass-produced throughout the United States. How about you? Do you ever wear flip-flops? I know I sure do. I'm actually wearing them right now. Alright, so let's see how we can begin our own flip-flop work of art. Alright, so the supplies you need for this project are a pair of scissors, a pencil, some crayons, a washable marker, mostly just blue. You can get other colors out too, but I only used blue. We'll be needing an eraser, a Sharpie, white glue like this Elmer's glue. You'll also be needing some blue paper, and if you don't have a piece of blue paper, you can always color a piece of paper that's white with a blue crayon or marker or colored pencil. You also need a little piece of scrap white paper like I have here. And you'll be needing 2 pieces of big white paper. It looks like I only have 1 here. I apologize for that, but you do need 2. And the one that I used as my background, I used as a piece of cardstock, which is a thicker type of paper. And then finally, right in the middle, you'll see that there is some sand. So next time you go to the beach, or if you have a sandbox, go ahead and get a little bit of sand. You don't need a whole lot, but sand would definitely be a bonus for this project. All right, let's get started. Using your regular piece of paper, not the cardstock, I like for you to fold it in half one time like you're making a big card for someone. Okay, now we need our foot. So you can either bring your foot up to your table or you can put the paper on the floor and put your foot on it there, whichever is easier for you. And I'd like for you to go ahead and trace your foot just like whenever you trace your hand, except this time I'd like for you to not go between the toes, just go up and around the toes like this. Now, my foot was too large for my paper, so I'm going to adjust mine just a little bit to make it appear as though I have a bit of a smaller foot. Your foot should fit on yours just fine, so you shouldn't have to do any of this like fixing monkey business that I'm doing right now. Basically, what we want is an outline tracing of your foot, and I just had to correct mine because my foot was too large for my paper. Okay, and then when you're done, you're going to keep your paper folded together so that you double cut. Remember, that's the art magic of getting 2 for the price of 1. All right, so I'm going to double cut here through both layers of paper, and I'm going to get 2 foot tracings, hopefully, when I'm all done. Looks like it worked out. Okay. Now we're going to take these foot cutouts and turn them into flip-flops. So at the top, I'm going to go about 3 fingers down. See how I'm using my fingers as measuring tools? About 3 fingers down, and put a little dot at each one, a little bit closer to the center. That's the part that goes between your big toe and your second toe. Now, closer to the bottom, I'm going to be putting 2 little dots. That's where like the flip-flop piece would go down through the piece of rubber and make it, hold on to your foot. Then I'm going to connect those dots with some straight lines to make the straps of the flip-flop. Okay, and then you're going to start working on a design for your flip-flops. Maybe yours might be zebra striped. Maybe they might have cheetah spots. Maybe they might have your name written on them. I went with flowers. And then after the design is done with pencil, I'm going to trace it with Sharpie. And then once it's done with Sharpie, I can start adding color. And I can use whatever I want. Markers, crayons, colored pencils, whatever you'd like to color with. Okay, so now I'm going to get out my second piece of white drawing paper or my piece of cardstock. I'm going to use a piece of cardstock here. And I'm going to go with wherever the top of my foot is. So I'm going to put my flip-flop kind of near the bottom edge of my paper. And I'm going to draw my horizon line right at where the toe ends. So for everybody, that'll be different depending on what size foot you have. Then whatever is below that line is going to be sand. So I'm going to start by coloring it with a brown crayon, just in case I can't get my hands on any sand, or if I miss a spot with the sand later, then it won't be that bright white of the paper. So I'm going to color it brown even if I can get myself some sand and make this a sandy seashore at the bottom here. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of my light sort of peachy apricot color just because it kind of brightens up the brown and makes it look a little bit more like sand. Okay, so now I'm going to get that blue piece of paper that I have and I'm going to lay it across the top here. Use a glue stick or the white glue, whichever one you prefer. I switched to glue stick for this one. And then I'm going to lay that right on there. And then I'm going to trim away any of the pieces that are bigger than my cardstock. So I'm going to use a technique on the top here where I fold it, and then that gives me a line to cut on. Excellent. Now save that blue paper. You can use it for another project. All right, now I'm going to grab my little piece of white scrap that I had, and I'm going to tear some wavy lines. These are going to be the white caps that are out in the water. So when you're sitting on the sand looking out and you see those white caps because the wind is blowing, that's what we're making here next. So I'm just going to tear, and those little top torn parts are what looks like the white caps. So I'm going to tear a couple and then glue them down. And then I'm going to use my white crayon and my blue marker, and I'm going to just add a little bit of extra waviness out there in the water. I'm going to try to not get any marker on the white parts, and I'm just going to try and put it in the blue spaces in between. So if you're not able to get yourself some sand, then your project can be done right here. All you would simply need to do is to glue down the flip-flops in the sand, and then your project is finished. However, if you are able to get your hands on some actual sand, stick with me on this next part and we're going to add some sand to the sand. Okay, so you want to make sure you put down some newspaper. This is kind of like working with glitter. If you've ever worked with glitter, it makes kind of a mess, but it's easily cleaned up. You can even work outside too if that helps too for your cleanup process. All right, so I'm working on newspaper and I'm going to use my white glue this time, and I'm going to squeeze out some. I'm going to work on like half of the sand area at a time. So I'm going to go right up to my water, and then I'm spreading out the glue with my finger. It's kind of like finger painting with glue, and the reason I'm spreading it out is because I want glue to cover as much of that sandy area as possible. So I'm going to work on about half my paper, spreading the glue out with my finger, kind of like finger painting, and then I'm going to sprinkle on the sand. So as I sprinkle it on, I want to make sure I don't miss too many spots. I want mine on kind of thick. And then as soon as I'm done with that side, I'm going to get my glue, squirt some glue on the other side, spread it around with my finger, and then add glue to that last side. Whenever I'm ever working with sand or glitter, I always work on a piece of newspaper, and then what I do next is I pick up my paper and I wiggle it around and I tap it and I kind of shake off any of the extra sand that is, not 100% stuck to the glue. That way later I don't have a huge mess to clean up when it's all falling off. So I kind of play with it a little bit, kind of tapping it to get the sand to come off. Then once I'm done, I pick up my piece of newspaper and I pour the sand back in and I save it for another project. If you're outside and you just want to like shake it off in the grass or on the sidewalk or whatever, then that would work too. But I'm going to save my extra sand for another project another time. Okay, so I'm going to bring my artwork back in. Now my glue is still wet. I did not give this a chance to dry yet. It's still wet, but that's okay because I'm about to add a little bit more glue to it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and grab my flip-flops back, and I'm going to gently place them on. They won't stick yet because the sand is, holding the glue down, and place them where I think I might like them. And then once I've decided, I'm going to use the Elmer's glue. I don't think glue stick will be strong enough to hold these on through the sand, so I'm definitely going to use the white glue, and I'm not going to spread it around my finger this time. I'm going to let it stay a little bit raised up like that. Then I'm going to flip them over, press them down gently. I don't mind if they don't 100% stick. I like when the edges sort of curl up a little bit. Makes them look a little more 3D, like actual flip-flops. So I'm just going to go ahead and place those guys in the sand and then let this whole thing dry. Drying will take a while. We have a lot of glue on here, different layers under the sand, under the flip-flops. So it's going to take a little while for these to dry, but how cool are they going to be when they are? Hey Bardis, what do you think? How interesting are these? Not only are those our feet, which is really cool, but there's also real sand, which adds some really great texture to our project. Those ocean waves look fantastic with how they are rippling out in the ocean, and we have some really cool designs on those flip-flops too. I'm actually really excited to see what kind of designs you put on your flip-flops. So I hope you had fun making this piece of artwork, and I can't wait to see you back here next time at The Heart of a Viking. HOB artists, don't forget to hop on over to Artsonia to upload a photograph of your piece of artwork to your art portfolio. I can't wait to see it.